My name is Rodney Robinson. I teach at Virgie Benford Education Center, and I'm the 2019 National Teacher of the Year. I'm going to read chapters 44 through 46 of the Wishing Tree. Chapter 44. Early that evening, Francesca stopped by the blue and green houses. My house. One with a black door, one with a brown door. One with a yellow mailbox, one with a red mailbox. She knocked on each door. She explained her plans for me. Both sets of parents said they understood. They would be sorry to see me go, but it would be a relief to see an end to Wishing Day, wouldn't it? And my absence would mean more sunlight in their living rooms and fewer acorns underfoot. Okay, at least let me make a deposit on the parents, Bongo grumbled. More sunlight, the nerve. How about less oxygen, people, less beauty? Thank you for defending me, Bongo, I said, but no depositing. Samara and Stephen were not so understanding. They ran after Francesca as she crossed the lawn. Samara pulled on her sweater. You have to listen to us, Samara said. You can't cut down that tree. I can't, Francesca inquired. And why is that, dear? Because, Stephen said, panting. It's alive. I'm quite aware of that, Francesca said. It's a common trait of trees. She paused, peering down at the ribbon around Samara's neck. Why, I know that key, she said. I recognize the ribbon. A crow gave it to me. No kidding, smart birds, crows. Samara slipped the ribbon over her head and handed the key to Francesca. Oh, I don't want that old thing, she said, giving it back. You can keep it. It just made me remember. It's not important. It opens a diary. My great-grandmother Maeve kept a journal after she moved here. So what's it for, Samara said. Where is it, Stephen, the journal? Attic, maybe, or no. It's probably in the shed behind Samara's house. Got a lot of old family stuff stashed away in there. She gave us a wry smile. Unless it all floated away, backyard's pretty wet right now. Which, by the way, is one of the reasons it's time for the tree to say goodbye. Samara wiped away tears. You don't understand. This tree, it's almost like it's human. That's sweet, Francesca patted Samara's head. But honey, it's just a tree. She squared her shoulders. Now I must go feed Lewis and Clark. I can hear them complaining from all the way over here, and I've got a busy day ahead of me tomorrow. As she moved to leave, Stephen stepped in front of her. Before you go, he said in a firm voice, just listen. He turned to me. Say something, he instructed. Please, Tree, Samara pleaded. I kept silent. What more was there to say? Francesca looked from Stephen to Samara and back again. Children, she said, perhaps those video games you like to play have addled your brains. Talk, Tree, Stephen said. Silence. It can talk, Samara told Francesca. Real words. It told us a story about Maeve. Francesca, for just a moment, hesitated. She looked at me. You mean metaphorically, of course. The tree seemed to talk to you. The leaves whispered and so on. It told us about the hollow and the baby. Francesca blinked. The baby? Yes, Samara said, the abandoned baby. Again, Francesca paused. Of course I've told that family story before. You probably heard it from a neighbor. Stephen shook his head. We heard it from a tree. Oh my, said Francesca. She waved a hand in front of her face. You're wearing me out, you two. I am so very glad my parenting days are behind me. Listen here, you get a good night's sleep, understand? Or maybe some counseling. As quickly as she could, Francesca made her way across the lawn, her shoes caked with mud. Francesca, Stephen called. It's just a tree, dears. Repeat after me. It's just a tree. I was wondering if we could look for that diary. She glanced over her shoulder. Maeve's journal? Be my guest, if it's not underwater by now. Chapter 45. Trees don't sleep, not like people do, or animals, but we do rest. Unfortunately, that night rest eluded me. I was filled with questions about the coming day, of course. But most of all, I didn't want to miss a moment of what little life I had left. I wanted to drink in the stars. I wanted to feel the fuzzy wings of the owlets. I wanted to stretch my roots just a tiny bit farther before the night was through. I wanted to indulge in some quiet contemplation about life and love and what it all meant. I wanted to philosophize. I've been thinking, I said to Bongo. There's no point in my worrying about tomorrow. It will come soon enough. Red, Bongo said. Too much, wise old tree. Bongo paused. She looked at me for a long time. Never, she said. Never, ever too much, wise old tree. Bongo settled onto home plate. The world was quiet and calm. Want to hear a tree joke, I asked? Is it funny? Probably not, I admitted. Then probably no. What's a tree's least favorite month? I don't know. What month? September! I paused. Because you see, Red, Bongo interrupted. As always, no need to explain. We didn't speak much after that. Turned out I didn't need to talk about life and love and what it all meant. It was enough to watch the sky freckled with stars, to smell the sweet, wet earth, to listen to the beating hearts of the little ones I could keep safe, at least for one more night. Chapter 46. Saturday morning dawned clean and cool. Even before the sun had made itself known, the animals and owls departed the safety of my limbs. Each family had found a new home, all in nearby trees on the same block. The skunks were going to remain under their porch. It made me happy to know that everyone would be staying in the neighborhood. One by one, they nuzzled me, whispering their goodbyes. The babies sniffled, especially Harold and Rose Petal and Flashlight. The parents tried to put on brave faces, but their trembling voices gave them away. It was awful, but I was glad to get it over with. I've always hated goodbyes. Bongo, for her part, insisted on staying with me to the bitter end. I knew better than to argue with her. By 6 in the morning, Stephen and Samar were sitting together on Samar's porch. By 7, Sandy and Max had arrived. They parked across the street and sat in their cruiser, sipping coffee and eating donuts. By 8, 3 local reporters had arrived, armed with microphones and fancy equipment. They took video of the word leave. They talked about its meaning, about how it changed the feel of the neighborhood. They also talked about me, the doomed Wishtree. I didn't like the word doom, but I had to admit it was accurate reporting. Francesca came at 8:30, carrying a cup of tea, dragging a small wooden ladder, the one she put out every year for the wishmakers. She went back home and promptly returned with Lewis and Clark on their kitty leashes. They were not cooperative. And then the wishes began. A toddler on her dad's shoulders, reaching high. An old woman aided by 2 young girls. Neighbor after neighbor, many of whom I'd seen pass by over the years. Wish after wish after wish. Some on scraps of colorful fabric, many on paper, tied with a ribbon or a string. A few socks, 2 t-shirts, and 1 pair of underwear. At first, people came in small groups or one by one. But then something changed. The trickle of people became a deluge. Many of them were kids from elementary school, but there were parents and teachers too. 12 kids, 50, 100, and more. Every person seemed to be carrying an index card. Each card had a hole punched in it with a piece of string looped through the hole. Stephen high-fived many of them, hugged his principal, waved to his teacher. Samar just sat on the steps with her parents, a quizzical expression on her face. One by one, the children tied their wishes to me. The principal and assistant principal and janitor and teachers all helped. My bowels had never been more laden. My heart had never been more hopeful, because as each child, as each neighbor, as each stranger placed the wish upon me, they looked at Samar and her parents and said the same thing. Stay. And that's the end of my chapters. Tune in tomorrow for more chapters of The Wishing Tree.